Success Talk, where we're going to be discussing more techniques for you to have in your careers and your businesses. And with me again is Abbass Zadeh. How are you?
Very well. How are you doing?
Very good.
Excellent.
And I'm still going over the last episode, and you gave me so much insight that I didn't even think of before, which was amazing.
My pleasure. And you made my brain think obviously more every time we talk and you sit down. But I mean, it's quite important, just touching on it, I know we spoke about it quite a bit, but touching on it is to be able to understand people, to get to know people. That will help you find yourself and how you should treat people.
Absolutely, which brings me to my first technique, which is called the Hello Success technique, which is an expression of who you are.
Okay.
Because we say hello in many ways, and we have different ways of saying it to certain people, which we don't realize. And that first impression is really important. And, you know, obviously we know we have different faces for different occasions, but even within the workforce, when you're with your colleagues or when you're in front of your boss, and, you know, how do you build that rapport? And what's your facial expression, your hand gesture, your different sort of tones? Do you think you're conscious of that, or it's just natural now?
I am. I wasn't conscious of it before, and I learned that in my previous job before I started my own company on how I had to greet. I always knew this from a very long time ago, and I still say this to absolutely everybody that I come across when we're talking about business. Every impression is a first impression.
Yeah, okay.
So if I've met you 1 million times, on the millionth and one time, it's still a first impression. Because every impression is the first impression. And I instill that a lot into my team, especially when it comes to clientele, because your first impressions are always important. If I'm walking into a business meeting, or if I'm walking in to be able to sell my services or sell a product or whatever it is that I'm doing, and I walk in and I'm slouched and I'm looking down at the floor, and when I come to greet your hand, it's quite soft. Not saying to be really firm, but I lack confidence because I'm not making eye contact. I lack confidence because I'm too scared to shake your hand properly. I lack confidence because my body gesture is like, oh, do I really want to be here, or why am I here? So 100% you need to...
So that hello, that first impression especially, is really important.
Oh, 100%. You need to broad shoulders. You need to make sure that you don't mumble it. You're saying it quite strong. You're out there. You're making good eye contact, your firm handshake, and you're letting that person know that you are there and you are there for a purpose.
How do you greet people in your work?
I mean, every single time. I mean, it's funny because in our industry, I say in our industry, I don't know how everybody else does it within my business and within my team. Me and my head of operations, and we did this in a previous job. We thought the best way, because at the moment everything is technology and mobile phones. We create a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
So every single morning now, we greet everybody, because I don't see my whole team every single day, because people are out and about, they're consistently on the road. So it's connection, and it's good morning to everybody. Hope you have a great day. If there's an update, if we find out something's happened on the roads, we put it in there. People send in pictures. We start the day right. Somebody sends a picture of their breakfast and say, morning team, I'm waiting to pick up so-and-so. I'm an hour early, so I'm just having a quick sandwich. We send a picture of a tea. But when I walk in the office, with my team, I always greet, good morning, how was your night? What did you get up to? Did you get good rest? You build that rapport with somebody.
I was just going to say, it's important to have that connection and you using social media to your advantage. So as much as people complain about it, it's just how you use it as well. And I think that, when, like you said, you don't always meet all of them, but you still got that some sort of communication, rapport, some sort of interaction between you through the WhatsApp group, and everyone still feels part of a team.
Absolutely. And I think that's very important, because you need to get to, and we touched on this again when we were talking about the love subject. You need to get to know the people that are working for you. If they're not working for you, they're working alongside you. The one thing that I always remember that I was taught from business from a very long time ago is, when you're in management or when you're an owner, when you're something, the frontline people, they're your soldiers.
Yes, definitely.
They're the people that represent your company. Now, I could be looking like so-and-so on my social media. I could be looking so-and-so on the websites, or on pictures online, or on articles or whatever. And I could come out to say that my business is amazing, that my business is great. But if I'm not looking after my people, and my people are out there who are driving that client in the Rolls Royce, he'll get in the car and go, amazing car. But the driver is in a bad state of mind, or the driver is not delivering the service that I'm expecting him to. I could be saying how amazing I am on certain magazines or on certain articles, but if he's not delivering it, it's not going to show.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not going to deliver it because he's not in that right frame of mind, because he feels undervalued, he just feels like he's working to get money. Whereas you need to make him feel part of your team. You need to make them feel.
Do you train your staff?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's quite rigorous, the employment process that we have. So it's actually a 3-phase employment program that we have. I mean, I'm talking about, for example, chauffeurs for now. So the first thing that they do is obviously they send in all their documentation, their paperwork in. If they look half decent, or if they look somebody like worth talking to on paper. And
how does somebody look half decent
because
on paper?
you look at, for example, the language that they use, the wording that they use, how they've sent that CV in. I mean, to me this is very quite important. I've had somebody who's gone onto their notes on their mobile, put 4 or 5 words together, they've titled it CV, and they've sent it through.
Okay.
And I've looked at that and I've gone, you have absolutely zero interest on showing your qualities. And sometimes it's hard to put it on paper, but notes from your phone that you've just emailed it across.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. So
you're looking for effort.
You're looking for effort. Somebody that takes pride in, I say appearance, but presentation is key, especially in my line of business.
Yeah.
There is no way that I'm going to send a Rolls Royce or even a Mercedes-Benz S-Class or a Lamborghini to somebody's house with one of my guys that has no pride in their appearance. They're not well groomed, they don't smell good, they're not dressed well.
Yeah.
Appearance is key, and that's first impression again. So how do we do it? My head of operations meets them, interviews them. If she thinks that they are the right individual, then they sit down and they meet my head chauffeur. My head chauffeur then gets them to drive them around. If I get 2 ticks from them,
they get through the next.
They get through to the next, and the last one is me.
So all you applicants out there, you know the process.
And the last one is me, and with me, then I sit down and I potentially repeat what's happened in stage 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. But I am a bit more firm, and I'm a bit more, I want straight answers. I want to know. I look at the way that they sit. I look at the way that they talk. I look at the way that how they appear.
Wow.
I look at the way they do it. Mm-hmm. And then if I do like somebody and we want to do it, and then literally put them under pressure, and I say to them, okay, cool. You want to become a chauffeur for AZ Lux? I'll tell you what we'll do. Next week, I've got 6 meetings lined up in that whole day. Rock up. I'll give you the key to the Mercedes S-Class. Drive me around. If I feel comfortable that you can drive me around, and you know that I'm the owner of this company, and you're going to do well, and you don't crack under pressure, and you've planned your routes, you've planned your timings, and I see how you drive and how you represent yourself, how you represent the company, and they pass that, they get offered a job. If we get to that stage and they're not ready, it's small, simple little things.
Yeah.
So what I'll do on purpose is I'm sitting in the back of the car, and obviously we have bottled water. I would undo my bottled water. I'll literally take 3 sips. There's half a bottle left, and I'll leave the bottle there. I'll take a wet wipe and I'll dry my hand, and I'll just leave it there.
Leave the rubbish.
I'll go to my meeting. I'll come back. My expectation is that's gone.
Yeah.
That bottle of water is changed for another new one.
Okay.
My seat settings haven't moved. My heating settings are exactly the same. Because the way I think like that, because I think that's what my clientele want.
Yeah.
And that's what we should be able to deliver to our clientele.
That's your service.
So that's
Very
the service.
detailed.
It's exactly that. And you have to be able to deliver that every single time. But every client is very different. Every client wants it in a different way. Mm-hmm. Somebody would want you to leave that water there because they would want to finish that before they go on to the next.
Fair enough.
Some people don't leave anything there. They're conscious themselves.
So how do you know that then?
You get to know your clientele. You build a rapport. You get to know with people. I mean, we have a 3-question rule, and my chauffeurs know this, and everybody knows this.
What about the clients that don't really want to talk to the chauffeur?
That's what I mean. You have the 3-question rule. You have the good morning. My name is Abbass.
So the hello technique is very
hello
important.
technique.
Yeah.
I'm your driver today. Please let me know if you want me to change your temperature settings, if you like the radio on and off. Here's the Wi-Fi password if you like to connect. You've done them 3 questions, or you've done them 3 points.
You can engage.
If the client is engaging back with you, the client wants to talk to you. If the client was like, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, the client wants to be left alone.
Yeah.
And that's how you build rapport and you get to know people. I've got certain clients that will get in a car, they don't want to know the driver's name, they don't want to know anything. They're like, how long until we get there? You have to remember, these are ultra high net worth individuals. These are businessmen. Yeah. These are people that get in the back of the cars. I mean, I've driven certain clientele because they want me to drive them. And the conversations that you hear they're having, that they're not here to waste time or sit in traffic or do this. They want to get from point A to point B because they're about to go sign $1 million contract.
Yeah.
Or they're about to go and see an important member of their family, or they're about to go and greet somebody at the airport that's just flew in. Something important is happening. So you want to be able to deliver that service. And If I take my business away from this, because it's all coming about my business, and we talk to what we're talking about, you do that by getting to know people, by building rapport, by being able to understand what it is that they want, how they want it delivered. And you have to be a chameleon and you have to adapt. Absolutely. You can't deliver that same standard level of service to every single person. As much as it's the same routine that I expect, it alters.
It does have to alter.
Because the individual that is receiving it is a different character.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about love. You can't try and give everybody the same thing because not everybody receives it in the same way.
Definitely. So you need really high skilled staff working for you, a team that's, you know, and on that level.
Absolutely, but it's not about people that are high skilled or, for example, people that
with their character and the way in which they draw, you know,
you need people to be. You need to be people to be open, people that are not afraid to talk, people that are friendly.
Again, it comes back to your identity. It comes back to
your identity, 100%.
Because a lot of it's the psychology and then the skill as well. You've got the right psychology. We always say that it's 80% psychology, 20% skill.
Yep.
And that's what makes it happen.
You need to be able to, and this is the one thing I would say is think outside the box. Don't just be like, I'm stuck. What do I do? Think outside the box.
Well, if you
always have to be think on your toes.
Yeah,
100%.
And you got to put yourself there. Well, that's the Hello Success technique. So now we're going on to the Wheel of Life. A lot of the times when I first sit with a client, and even if they have initial issue that they want to discuss, it's not necessarily that only issue. So I have a circle which is called the Wheel of Life, and most coaches will have this, and it's one of the strategies and techniques. It's a tool that we use where you draw the circle and you break it into different areas of your life, like for example the work, lifestyle, family, recreation, you know, finance, whatever. You can decide whatever area, and then basically you number it as to how satisfied you are in that area. Okay. So from 1 to 10, so, you know, with your work, you're maybe a number 7. With your family life, you're probably, you know, a 5 or a 6. With your, you know, with your health, you're probably about, you know, 4 or 5. So then in those areas, if you're low, that's where you need to work on. Or sometimes you think it's not actually that bad, but, you know, we think in our heads so much, but we're not specific. And this makes you specific to break it down and to number it. So you know exactly where you are. And sometimes you can make yourself really clear as to where your life is.
But how do you scale it? How do you scale it?
Exactly. Well, you don't. You have an indication. And then you can go through each one to say, well, what is a 10 for you? What is a 1 for you, for example? And then sometimes we have to work on those numbers again to get it to where it really is. And sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. And that's where you move for.
So we're not numbering the effort that we're putting, it's numbering where we actually are.
Where we are.
Okay.
Where we are. And obviously we want to get to as high number as possible to be, you know, as entrepreneurs, as high performers, normally excel in every area in their life. It really does. They're good with their home life, they're good with their health, they're good with their business. They balance really well. Now, these are only top 3% of people, you know, around the world that can manage to do that. They look younger, they feel younger because they have a really balanced life. And people around them are all positive. And if they're not, then, you know, they draw themselves and they become influencers towards them. And you see a lot of self-development, you know, specialists and gurus that have this lifestyle. It does exist. And yes, there might be a few areas a bit lacking, but still the numbers are high in that wheel of life.
Okay.
And it's really, really vital for my clients to sit down and analyze it. I remember being coached as well, and I do get coaching. I'm not going to, you know, sell something I don't buy myself, and I'm just as like everyone else. And when I sat down and, you know, listed my numbers and my areas in my life, it really brought so much clarity, and it brought so much awareness as to where I am and certain things that I've neglected or certain things I thought I was okay in, or, you know, vice versa, whatever it may be. So you can list whatever you want, and you can do that. The Wheel of Life cannot just be for just a general thing. You could do a career wheel. So you can do it for like your goals, your targets, your knowledge, your skills, your communication, rapport with your boss, and, you know, relationship with other colleagues. And when you do that circle, you can actually work from there. And I think it's really, really vital when you're with a coach to do something like this and have this. And you can do that with your relationship wheel, with love, time, commitment, with the health wheel, as to includes your walking, stretching, your skin, your, you know, whatever, your weight, your general workout, and how your, you know, your general health nutrition sort of works in. So it's so important that I think the viewers can do this for themselves at home. So draw a circle, put on the areas that they are, you know,
sort of like a
life.
pizza, and each slice is a different area, and then number it.
Number it. And obviously if you're working with a coach, then, you know, you can work deeper as to if those numbers are actually realistic. Does it need more work or less work, or is that so bad, or it's actually, you know what, I didn't even think of this area in my life that actually needs working on. And I can understand, because you know what, we think that if we're okay at work, it's going to mean that we're okay at home. You know, we work really hard for our families, so we put that to one side. It doesn't work like that, though.
Absolutely not.
You can't work like that. Nothing needs to give, and that's what we don't realize. And when you put that in a piece of paper and you look at it and say, well, I know why this is lacking now, because that's not working as well, because it does filter. So it brings out that awareness, and I think it's such an amazing technique. It's such a really good tool to use, and not very many people are aware of it, but it's a very basic tool. It's one of the first things that I actually do with my clients.
Yeah, I remember when we did it, when we sat down and we did it, and
over time analyzing it to look back is really
100%.
amazing.
I think the one thing that you need to do, I mean, especially like this for the viewers, that if they're going to do this for themselves at home, is to be able to, my suggestion anyway, and you may correct me here, is don't look at that every single day, but potentially do that, put it to one side, come back to it a week later,
you could do
and
that.
go, right, okay, so it's been a week.
By the way, I don't really have all the right answers. You know, you have the answers yourself. I don't have to agree with
anything.
anything.
I know, but you may tell me there's a technique to be able to do it, but my thought process would be, and I do this myself, is and I don't usually write a lot of things down because I'm always on the move with business or whatever, so I put everything down on my phone in my notes.
Yeah, whichever way.
And I go back to it and I have a look at it and I think, okay, this was a week ago, because it dates it and times it for you. This was a week ago.
I mean,
okay,
we're saying a circle, but if you do it even in a list and you number it, it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
You can do it on your
notes.
notes.
I think the good thing is for the viewers, that if they are going to do this, is to be able to go back and to be able to look at it a week later, a day later, a month later.
See if there's anything.
See if there's any progress. See if there's any change. See if there's something that you have put in and you think, you know what, actually this is irrelevant, but this is more irrelevant. Let me change it around.
And this comes on to me actually also emphasizing about personal development. You know, a lot of us complain about where we are and where we want to get to, and we're not getting there. But, you know, these techniques, they're mundane, they're a little bit annoying at times, but you know what, you got to do it. You got to do things that you don't like and you don't want, and you're not motivated and driven to do, because these are the things that get you to that next level. These are the things that's actually going to make you aware of yourself and improve yourself. People just don't want to improve, they don't want to grow, and if they do, they want an easy route. It can be easy over time, but any change is always difficult at the beginning. It's a bit uncomfortable, you know, in the middle. But once you get used to it, it becomes, you know, a genuine habit. And that's what I work with people to actually make them understand that at the beginning, of course, things are going to be uncomfortable, but you got to do this in order to be those top performers. And even out of everyone that's listening, unfortunately, there's only going to be 3% of you that's actually going to take this and actually do something. So remember that figure. And you can make that difference to that figure. I mean, I'm saying this out loud, but you can increase that figure and you can make it happen.
So I just, quite funny, I just go to that point that you just made about the 3%, because I remember in the previous shows I was talking about listening to influencers and listening to motivational speakers. And I remember it was Gary Vee that he actually put a post out, and he was standing there and he was addressing the audience and he was giving inside information, and somebody questioned and put his hand up and said, why are you telling us all of this stuff? And he literally turned around and said, because I know that there will only be 3% of you that will actually walk away, take some of this knowledge and do something about it. The rest of you will sit there and go, okay, I'm going to do this, never do it. Never
so
make change. And it is that, because to be able to change your character, your mindset, or if you want to be in the top 100 or you want to be something, you want to be that high performer, you can't just sit and watch videos and you can't just sit and read books. You've got to get up and you've got to do it.
It's hard work. It's grind.
You know, it is 100%. It's grind. It's like when every single morning, or if I start really early or I start really late, and I only get 4 hours sleep, and then I'm speaking to family and I'm speaking to my partner, or I'm speaking
like getting up for this show,
you know, doing all of that, and somebody turns around and goes, "How do you have the energy to do it?" You think sometimes I don't have the energy to do it, but you have to get up and do it. It becomes a habit. You know, I don't know how true this is, but I was reading somewhere it takes like 30 days to create a habit, and then you're in a habit, or it's maybe less than 30 days.
It can be instant as well with certain techniques, or certain depends.
Once you build up that habit of being able to wake up so early every single morning, or sleep late every single night, because you're focused on, I'm doing this for home, I'm doing this for my wife, I'm doing that for my husband, I'm doing this for my brother, for my sister, for my son. You know, once you start getting into them habits, you start doing it, it becomes the norm.
Exactly.
But it's not just the norm of, oh, it's my daily routine, because it's still high performing.
It is high performance.
It's still high
exactly
performing.
that.
So you have to be able to do that. So
Well,
I just make that point, as you were saying, only 3% of people, unfortunately, are going to get up and go, do you know what, in any of our shows, and hopefully they see benefit, that I got some good advice, you know what, I'm going to try this.
And I'm going to try this, because we want people to succeed. The more we succeed, the more we can actually infiltrate, you know, into better beings, better wellness. You know, that's what it's about. This is what life's about. And I don't want to just have my education, my knowledge, or, you know, for you to even have whatever you're doing and just keep it to ourselves.
Yep.
We need to expand this
100%.
and share this.
100%. There's no reason why you shouldn't, because I mean, somebody always says to me when some people message me through social media, or they ask me questions on, how did you make your business the way that it is? How did you be able to promote PR? How were you able to do this, to do this? And I give it, and they're like, wow, we didn't think you'd give us the information. I said, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
I was like, but I know I do it in a special way that you might be able to do something.
That's the other thing.
If you can compete with me, great.
Yeah,
I'm all about healthy competition.
Absolutely.
Because if somebody wants to compete with me, that keeps me on my toes. That makes me to make sure that my team and our game is always at a high.
Of course, but it's a big world, and everyone's audience is different. Everyone's influence is different. So there's never going to be something that you need to worry about. Your power is you, as I've said before. But again, sharing, you know, information is really important, and we need to continue doing that. And that's why I, you know, created and produced and, you know, came up with the ideas for the show, because I think that a lot of people are not giving themselves enough credit as to what they are capable of. And they see the end results of all these successful people, and they're like, well, how did you get there? What did you do? And I'm like, this is the process. This is the technique. These are the strategies. Now you go. Here we go. See it. Do it.
It's put it all simple. On the table for you.
We're putting it on the table for you.
Are you willing to take it?
Exactly. Go there. You don't even have to have a coach, you know, but you can do this for yourself. So yeah, that's, you know, that's really important to have those sort of that wheel of life, and hopefully analyze things.
So just before you get on to your next point, and whether we run out of time for this episode or not, why did you start coaching?
That's a question for another whole episode.
Okay.
No. I just fell into it, to be fair. I only heard about it listening to somebody else on TV, and at the end of it, they said that they were a life coach, and I was quite interested as to what that meant. I really didn't know what it was. A lot of people that I studied with, they knew what it was, and they were psychotherapists, psychologists, and, you know, even barristers, whoever, and they studied coaching to enhance their existing, you know, job, career, and others was just taking it on as a new career. And when I read about it, I Googled it, I got a book about coaching, and, you know, I learned the steps, and I found companies that actually did this, and they had these discovery days which you could go in and see what it was like as a taster. And I was drawn straight away, and I sat there and I was like, this was me. And I never felt like that. And you might think that, you know, you need to figure your life out at a young age, but it doesn't really matter. You figure it out, you figure it out. And, you know, within a couple of years, I was just like zooming. And I'm not just coaching. And you said it before, you're being coached yourself also as well.
Absolutely. Which continues to help your development and your thought process.
Absolutely. And I have a network of friends that are coaches, and we, you know, we regularly talk and we share things, and we actually build on each other's knowledge and what our experiences are, so we can actually keep this, you know, current and keep it, you know, really authentic and genuine. But yeah, it just sort of happened for me. And, you know, when you're looking for something, and I was looking for something different in my life. So I just thought, you know what, this is what, you know, it kind of fell for me in that way. It kind of chose me as well.
Amazing.
So I manifested it.
Good. Well, I'm glad you took it, because without you, I wouldn't be half here.
See,
and being able to be coached.
Absolutely.
And, you know, help me be able to make sure that I'm still in the top performer.
And you're going to continue consistently. So the next technique is congruency, pricing tool. So how much are you worth, and how much are you charging? This is for you, your products, your services, your education, your quality. I know a lot of people, even when they came out of coaching, they're like, how can I charge this much for coaching? I don't think it's worth it. I don't think, oh, so you don't value your time, you don't value your training, you don't value, we don't have a product, I'm the brand, I'm, you know, all of that. I'm selling myself, I'm selling my experience, my knowledge. And yes, I'm going to charge, you know, for that. So you've got to believe in it. But a lot of people are so scared, you know, to price themselves in a particular way so that they can actually get clients. And for me, it's not about that. I know what I'm worth. I know what I give worth to and add value to people. I see the transformation in their lives. And for me, that to me actually is priceless.
Yeah.
So, for me, I think that your congruency pricing tool and how much you're worth is something to really consider as a success technique, because you know, it's okay saying you've got this, that, and the other, but if you don't know its value in terms of pricing, and, you know, you're not going to be able to sell it, you're not going to have belief in it, and the clients and customers are not going to come to you for that either.
100%. I think the one thing that people need to understand sometimes when you're talking about value is not just to straight away be able to put put a number on that. You need to be able
things that come behind it.
Absolutely, 100%. You need to be able to put in the factor, or, I mean, again, I'm going to put it against my business. I'm going to put it against my business.
What it's about.
If we're talking about a certain price for a certain service, you look at the time involved, what it takes to wash that one car, it's going to cost more than the other car.
All of that needs
the
to be
fuel
considered.
that car takes, the type of driver that you need to put in that car, because there are some chauffeurs that earn more than the others, and they are a Rolls-Royce chauffeur, whereas others have started in the S-Class and they're working their way up. So you've got more expenses to pay, parking fees and so on and so forth. So you price that. But if we're talking about individuals that deliver a service, you need to understand your worth 100%. You know, I've had some people, for example, message me and go, we would just like an hour of your time to be able just to come in and, you know, just for you to help us and put our mind together on where we are with business. And as much as I want to help, I think with all due respect, that 1 hour of my time that you want, I could be going and doing such and such for my own company. I could be using that 1 hour and spending it with my team to be able to rebuild my team. You need to appreciate what values you have yourself.
Absolutely.
What you bring to the table.
Know your worth.
Know your worth. So then when you do price something up, if you are pricing a service up, if you're pricing a job up, if you're pricing up an entity for the company, whatever it is, you need to understand the full worth.
Absolutely.
And if you don't understand that worth and you're unsure, you cannot sell it. Yeah. 100%. It's like a salesman or a saleswoman when they're going to, and again, we spoke about this so many times, but I watch The Apprentice a lot. When they're on a task and they're going to sell something, if there's a group of 6 and they're selling this glass with water in it, and 3 people have got it, they understand it, they're going to be the 3 best salesmen.
Absolutely.
The other 3 that don't really understand the product, don't really know what they're doing, or they're not in agreement with what the project manager was or with the rest of the team.
Yeah, that really can.
They're going to hide behind everyone else. You know, they might be able to sell 1 or 2 because they've got the gift of the gab, but unless you really know your product, unless you really know your service, your worth, you're not going to sell it to the best of your ability, regardless of what it is.
Well, that's come to the end of this episode again, with lots more success techniques, and hopefully we can learn from this, take it, put it into action, because this is what it's all about. It's not just listening, putting it into action, because it does work. We are living proof, and there's so many people out there that actually have used these techniques, and you can probably hear it. You probably have heard it from many people, and we're just giving it to you from a different perspective so you can actually use it. And we hope to see you soon in the next episode.